Clueless, 1995, exposed. 20 shocking behind-the-scenes secrets that will change how you see the movie. When you think of Clueless, what comes to mind? Shopping sprees, makeovers, high school drama, and of course the effortlessly chic fashion choices of Cher Horowitz. But if you thought this was just another light-hearted teen comedy, you couldn't be more wrong. Beneath the surface of Clueless lies a world of Hollywood drama, casting chaos and creative battles that almost derailed the entire film. In fact, what you see on screen is the result of months of tension, behind-the-scenes struggles, and a sheer determination to prove critics wrong. This is the untold story of how Clueless became more than just a 90s teen movie. It's the story of how Amy Heckerling, Alicia Silverstone, and a talented cast and crew overcame numerous obstacles to create a cultural phenomenon. Get ready for 20 shocking facts about Clueless that will completely change your perception of the film. And stick around till the end, because we've got a bonus fact that involves a fax machine that rewrote Hollywood history. The TV show that almost was. Let's start with a fact that may surprise you. Clueless wasn't originally meant to be a movie at all. Amy Heckerling, the director, pitched the idea as a television show first. However, when she presented the concept to the network executives, they rejected it immediately. They just couldn't wrap their heads around the idea of modernizing Emma, Jane Austen's classic novel, and setting it in Beverly Hills. To them, the idea seemed too literary, too sophisticated for a teen TV show, but Heckerling didn't back down. Refusing to let her vision die, she took the rejected TV pilot and reworked it into a movie script. The result was a cultural sensation that combined the sharp wit of Jane Austen with the exaggerated world of the 90s Beverly Hills high school scene. The episodic structure remained, and that style later inspired the Clueless TV series. Though it seemed like a weakness at first, the blend of classic literature with Valley Girl culture became the film's greatest strength. Clueless was a modern twist on an age-old story, showing how sometimes the best way to prove the critics wrong is to stick to your guns. Aerosmith's music videos made Alicia Silverstone's journey to playing Cher Horowitz wasn't your typical Hollywood story. She didn't land the role through a traditional audition process. Instead, Silverstone was discovered after starring in Aerosmith's Cryin' and amazing music videos. In those videos, Silverstone portrayed a rebellious daughter who defied convention, traits that would serve her well when playing Cher, a wealthy but self-aware high schooler. Casting directors were captivated by her ability to balance innocence with attitude. Her charm and natural charisma stood out, and they saw something in her that was perfect for Cher, someone who could be both shallow and surprisingly deep. Cher wasn't just a spoiled teenager. She was a complex character with a lot more going on beneath the surface, and Silverstone had the perfect combination of qualities to bring her to life. In the end, it was Silverstone's star power in the music world that catapulted her to stardom in Clueless. Her role as Cher didn't just launch her career, it solidified her place as one of the most iconic actresses of the 90s. Cher's famous "A Haitian's" mispronunciation was an accident. One of the most memorable moments in Clueless happens during a debate class scene, when Cher argues about the issue of allowing Haitian refugees into the country. The infamous line "A Haitian's" was mispronounced as "A Haitians," and it wasn't scripted. Alicia Silverstone genuinely didn't know how to pronounce "A Haitians," and when she delivered the line wrong, director Amy Heckerling saw an opportunity for something great. Rather than correcting Silverstone, Heckerling allowed the mistake to stand. The mispronunciation perfectly captured Cher's sheltered worldview and her well-meaning but slightly clueless perspective. Instead of feeling awkward or out of place, the mistake turned into one of the most quoted lines in the film. This goes to show how sometimes the best parts of a film come when actors aren't trying too hard to be perfect. Paul Rudd wasn't always Josh Paul Rudd, who later became iconic as Cher's stepbrother Josh, didn't initially audition for that role. In fact, Rudd's first audition was for Murray, Dionne's boyfriend, but Heckerling saw something in his laid-back, intellectual style that didn't quite fit Murray but was perfect for Josh. The role of Josh needed someone who could ground the film's otherwise flighty characters and offer a sense of emotional depth. Rudd's chemistry with Alicia Silverstone created the perfect opposites, a track dynamic. While Cher was shallow and superficial, Josh was grounded and intellectual. Their romantic relationship felt real and relatable, and the pair's on-screen chemistry helped elevate the film from a teen comedy to a truly memorable romantic story. The casting choice ultimately changed the tone of the film, adding another layer of substance to the story. Reese Witherspoon almost played Cher before Alicia Silverstone landed the role of Cher. Reese Witherspoon actually auditioned for the part. At the time, Witherspoon had only a few small roles under her belt, but her audition made a strong impression. However, Heckerling ultimately chose Silverstone for the role because she felt that Silverstone embodied Cher's contradictions, someone who was simultaneously spoiled and empathetic, shallow and deep. While Witherspoon didn't land the role, her loss would turn into a massive gain. Witherspoon would go on to have a legendary career in romantic comedies, most notably in Legally Blonde, where she portrayed another blonde with brains, a character who was smarter than she appeared. Clueless's loss became Witherspoon's gain in a completely different genre, showing how missing one iconic role can still lead to greater success down the road. The film was shot in just 40 days. You might think that a film as iconic as Clueless took months or even years to film, but you'd be wrong. The entire production was wrapped up in just 40 days. This incredibly tight schedule meant there was little room for reshoots or creative indulgence. Every day on set counted, and the crew had to work fast to get everything done in time. But surprisingly, this breakneck pace worked to the film's advantage. The actors didn't have time to second-guess their choices. They made bold, confident decisions, and that energy translated into the final product. The fast pace gave the film an urgency and spontaneity that made it feel fresh and alive. Sometimes deadlines lead to creativity, and Clueless is a prime example of how a tight schedule can create magic. Heckerling studied real Beverly Hills. Teens Amy Heckerling didn't just create Clueless in a bubble. She spent months observing real Beverly Hills teenagers to make sure her depiction of high school life was accurate. She studied how they dressed, how they talked, and how they interacted with one another. She found that these teens, while wealthy and privileged, were still remarkably naive and sheltered. Their complex, contradictory personalities gave her a deep understanding of how to write Clueless's characters. Cher and Dionne and the rest of the crew weren't just figments of Heckerling's imagination. They were based on real people. This research gave Clueless its authenticity, as the characters' dialogue and behavior mirrored the way real teenagers from Beverly Hills acted. This attention to detail is part of what made Clueless feel so real despite its outlandish setting. Sarah Michelle Gellar turned down Amber's role, believe it or not. Sarah Michelle Gellar, the future Buffy the Vampire Slayer, was offered the role of Amber, Cher's nemesis. However, Gellar's representatives turned the role down, thinking it wasn't substantial enough for an actress of her caliber. The role eventually went to Elisa Donovan, who played Amber with unforgettable sass and made her one of the most memorable villains in teen movie history. Sometimes in Hollywood, the roles you don't take are just as important as the ones you do. Gellar would go on to achieve massive success as a leading TV star, while Donovan made the most of her comedic opportunity, proving that embracing a smaller part can still lead to long-term career success. The digital closet scene almost got cut. One of the most iconic scenes in Clueless is when Cher uses her computer to select outfits, and this scene almost didn't make it into the film. The technology required to create the digital closet system was expensive, and studio executives were concerned that audiences wouldn't understand or care about a character choosing her clothes through a computer. However, Heckerling fought hard to keep it in because she knew it was important to Cher's character. The scene ended up becoming a perfect metaphor for Cher's need to control everything in her life, even down to her wardrobe. It foreshadowed the future of fashion apps and online shopping, and it turned out to be one of the most memorable moments in the movie. Sometimes, directors have to fight for small details that end up defining a film. Jeremy Renner's audition was completely wrong for Clueless. Jeremy Renner, now known for his role in the Avengers franchise, auditioned for a part in Clueless, but his intense, gritty energy was completely wrong for the film's tone. Renner's brooding persona just didn't fit into the bubbly high school comedy vibe that Heckerling was going for. His audition became a legendary example of how even talented actors can be the wrong fit for certain projects. Renner went on to become a Hollywood action star, but his Clueless audition remains a fascinating what could have been moment in his career. The role, however, was better suited for another actor, and this just goes to show how casting is about more than just talent. It's about fit. Bonus fact: during filming, Alicia Silverstone received a life-changing offer for a multi-million-dollar deal from Columbia Pictures. If the fax had arrived a few days later, Silverstone might have committed to other projects that would have completely changed the trajectory of her career. Timing is everything, and Silverstone's lucky timing made her one of the biggest stars of the 90s. The legacy of Clueless isn't just about its memorable catchphrases or the iconic fashion. It's about how the film broke boundaries in teen cinema, mixing intelligence with entertainment. It proved that teenage stories could be smart, funny, and thought-provoking. From casting surprises to behind-the-scenes struggles, Clueless is a film that almost didn't make it to the screen. But once it did, it became a lasting cultural phenomenon. Like, comment, and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes secrets that prove Hollywood's most beloved films are always more complicated than they appear. After all, the best stories are the ones hiding in plain sight, just like Cher's journey from Clueless to self-aware. Sarah Michelle Gellar turned down Amber's role. It's hard to imagine anyone else playing Amber, Cher's rival, but Sarah Michelle Gellar, the future Buffy the Vampire Slayer, was originally offered the role. However, Gellar's representatives turned it down, thinking it was too small for someone of her potential. The role eventually went to Alicia Donovan, who made Amber one of the most memorable movie villains of the 90s. Both Gellar and Donovan went on to have successful careers, but in very different ways. Gellar found stardom with her leading role on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, while Donovan's embrace of the comedic opportunity in Clueless helped her carve out a place in teen comedy history. Sometimes, the roles you turn down can have just as big of an impact as the ones you take. This decision proves how roles in Hollywood can be unpredictable, and sometimes, choosing what's a writer for your career doesn't always align with the traditional ideas of what's a big. Donovan's opportunity in Clueless may have seemed small, but it became part of what solidified her place in teen movie history. The digital closet scene almost got cut. Cher's digital closet scene was one of the most iconic moments in Clueless, but it almost didn't make the cut. The technology to create the digital closet was expensive, and studio executives were worried audiences wouldn't understand it or care about it. Heckerling fought to keep the scene in, recognizing that it was a perfect metaphor for Cher's need for control in her life, even down to her wardrobe. What could have been a throwaway moment turned out to be a revolutionary scene that foreshadowed the digital fashion apps we use today. Cher's obsession with organization and perfection was more than just a superficial trait. It was a deeper commentary on her character's need for control. The scene became a pivotal moment in the film and a defining part of its legacy. Cher's closet was more than just a visual gimmick. It became a symbol of her character's approach to life, carefully curated, always controlled, and yet, ironically chaotic in its pursuit of perfection. The fact that the scene was almost cut shows how sometimes the most memorable moments are the ones that almost don't make it. Jeremy Renner's audition was completely wrong for Clueless. Jeremy Renner, now known for his role in the Avengers franchise, actually auditioned for a role in Clueless. However, his gritty, intense energy didn't fit the film's lighthearted, satirical tone. His audition was a perfect example of how even talented actors can be completely wrong for certain roles. Renner's audition became a legendary story among casting directors, as it was clear he wasn't a fit for the privileged Beverly Hills world of Clueless. Despite the failed audition, Renner's career took off in action films where his intensity became an asset. It's a reminder that casting is about more than just talent. It's about the right fit for the project. This experience shows how actors can be miscast in certain roles, and how a career-defining performance can sometimes be about timing, chemistry, and the character's specific needs. Renner, for example, found his true niche in the action genre, where his serious, intense demeanor became an asset rather than a liability. Bonus fact: during filming, Alicia Silverstone received a life-changing offer for a multi-million-dollar deal from Columbia Pictures. If the facts had arrived a few days later, Silverstone might have committed to other projects that would have completely changed the trajectory of her career. Timing is everything, and Silverstone's lucky timing made her one of the biggest stars of the 90s. Silverstone's multi-million-dollar deal was a direct result of the success and early screenings of Clueless. The deal shifted her career into overdrive, marking her as one of the biggest stars in Hollywood at the time. It was a rare moment where everything fell perfectly into place for her, showing that fate and timing play significant roles in the careers of even the most talented stars. The legacy of Clueless isn't just about its memorable catchphrases or the iconic fashion. It's about how the film broke boundaries in teen cinema, mixing intelligence with entertainment. It proved that teenage stories could be smart, funny, and thought-provoking. From casting surprises to behind-the-scenes struggles, Clueless is a film that almost didn't make it to the screen, but once it did, it became a lasting cultural phenomenon. Like, comment, and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes secrets that prove Hollywood's most beloved films are always more complicated than they appear. After all, the best stories are the ones hiding in plain sight, just like Cher's journey from clueless to self-aware.